Hey, welcome to the Toadstead. As you can see, both outside and inside, it's a little chilly this morning. So what we're going to do is take advantage of having another chore to do to help, kind of warm up the house. Let's go over by the stove. Okay, here we are in the micro kitchen of the Airstream. And what we're doing today is making food for the bees. This video is being made in early mid-January, and what you can see, well, it's pretty obvious what I have here. Pot, water's heating up. I've got a bunch of half-gallon jugs there, and there's another one sitting in the sink. And I use half-gallon jugs not because they're particularly better than anything else. It just so happens that the refrigerator here in the Airstream, that's about the biggest jug I can put in there for my own milk. So these are just the leftover milk jugs that I've kept, cleaned them out, and this is what I use for feeding. So what I have down here is my 5-gallon bucket of sugar, and seeing as how we're making half gallons, what I use is a 50-50 mix. And I use 50-50 when I measure it out. Now, if you're, any kind of beekeeper and have asked questions of other beekeepers, one of the things you find out is that when you ask 10 beekeepers a question, you usually get somewhere between 14 and 17 answers. At least that's been my experience. So some people will tell you, sugar water, mix it by weight, mix it by volume, whatever. I mix it by volume. So when I do this, it's been roughly 4 cups of water, 4 cups of white sugar, and it comes out really close. Do I have to top off the jugs? Yeah, I do. I just top them off with water, and that's fine. But we'll bring you back when we get ready to start dissolving the sugar. Okay, well, the water's just getting ready to boil, and I don't bother letting it go to a full boil because all that does is just put too much moisture in the air here in the Airstream. But the reason I showed you the temperatures and everything the first time is that while this particular trailer is electrically heated, which the reasons behind that are just a whole nother story. And actually, regardless of whether you're heating with electricity or you're heating with propane, both cost money. You got to put more propane in the tank, or your electric meter's clicking off. Well, bottom line is that by the time I fill up all these jugs, we're going to go back and take a peek at the interior temperatures, and I'm pretty confident that the electricity we used to make our bee food will certainly help heat the inside of the trailer. And I guess that's just kind of one of the tricks, or one of the alterations that you have to make in your thinking when it comes to inexpensive living, trying to just squeeze every bit of use you can out of every dollar. And you can hear it's getting a little noisy. So yeah, I guess you could say, well, it's a dual purpose thing. And if you're doing any, if you're like me and just trying to be a cheapskate, trying to stretch your dollars out, you're constantly looking for ways to do that. Now, I certainly wouldn't want to heat up what's essentially, by the time I get done, about 2 gallons. I got to check outside to see if I have any more empty half-gallon jugs. You're basically going to go ahead and steal this heat and keep it. And I wouldn't want to do this, as I was saying, on a 90-degree day. Now, this is actually a pretty easy one to think about because we don't feed our bees in the summertime. They forage for themselves, but we do in the wintertime. So I'll wait, watch the weather. Down here where I'm at, a lot of the weather is front driven. So you can tell when there's a front coming, it's going to warm up, it's going to rain. When the front goes by and you've got beautiful sunshiny days, that's when it's going to get cold. Now that's very easy to predict. The Weather Service is very good with that. So you just keep an eye on it and say, well, okay, got a front coming through. Keep an eye on the bee food. Let's go ahead and make bee food on the morning of, one of the colder mornings, so we'll take advantage of that. All right. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the sugar's just about dissolved. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this liquid into this measuring jug, I guess you'd call it, because it has a spout and it's much easier to pour the liquid into the jugs with that than trying to do it with this. And I'll bring you back when I get all the jugs full, and we'll take a peek at the thermometer and see how much we were able to raise the temperature inside the trailer here just by doing a chore we had to do already. Okay, well, we've got 2 gallons made up, and they're still warm, quite warm, so they're definitely going to cool off in here. And then once they've cooled off as far as they can, as they will, I should say, in here, then I'll store them outside with the rest. But for now, let's go take a peek at what our temperatures are and see if we saved any money doing it this way. Alright, well, you can see temperature did come up outside a little bit. The sun came out, so you can see that. But definitely warmer in here. I'm able to run around in my t-shirt now where I had my sweatshirt on earlier. Now, this is just one example, making the bee juice. Now, on the evening, many evenings when it's really cold, well, heck, gotta cook dinner, right? Well, a lot of times I'll go ahead and make my dinner and then make more, I'll make something I can put in the refrigerator for lunch later, or something I can put out. The bottom line is, if I've got to use the stove, I try and time it for when the residual heat from cooking can be part of what heats up the living areas. So it's just some ideas and some examples of the little ways that you can help yourself out. Well, hope you enjoyed it. See y'all next time around.